What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for May 3rd, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a somewhat feel-good Friday edition. It is Friday. We should be feeling good, but man, what a disappointing game. Let's get right into it. 60% of you yesterday in the question of the day said no, the Sixers will not be forcing a Game 7, and you would be correct. Just an overall tough loss, though. 118-115, and I don't really have any notes, so I'm going to kind of just go on a rant, and it's probably going to be inconsistent, and I just hope it is somewhat coherent and makes sense. Once I have time to sort of process and think about things, I'll have something more eloquent. But I guess for the first thing, I guess it sticks out to me is, and you know I'm not big on moral victories and things like that because this stings. I mean, it absolutely does. Got sucked in once again, knowing that this is the way it's going to end. But this one feels different. And different in the sense that Joe 100% gave 150% of his effort yesterday in an elimination game. He did not shy away from the spotlight. He did not shrink to the moment. He was the most dominant player I felt on the court yesterday. I mean, you can make the argument it was Brunson, but I think he did what he needed to do. And I think this series, more so than anything, should change the perception of what Joe is. I mean, in the past, he would make excuses. He would kind of lean in on those injuries. Truthfully, he didn't even want to talk about the Bell's palsy. It sort of came out. I think you're seeing him grow up. And I think moving forward, I think that makes sense. He was able to sort of say, okay, I got to gut this out. And the Sixers did not lose this series at all because of Joel Embiid. And I don't care what anybody says. There's nothing that is going to make me say they lost this series because of Joel Embiid. I think he played like an MVP last night. I think he played that as the alpha. I know that word was thrown around a lot yesterday, but Joe played his ass off, and kudos to Joe. And I like I said, I think it's a turning point in his career, and I think moving forward we're going to see a different Joe. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I think Joe and Tyrese kind of go hand in hand. One, because they're the only two players now under contract, but I also think they need each other. I think they play well off of each other, and now that Nick Nurse is thrown into a situation where, yeah, he's going to have a whole new team for the most part around, but he's going to build around those two guys and not have to deal with the James Harden BS. I think I'm all in on Nick Nurse. Just his leadership, the fact that he was not afraid to sit Joe the other night when he needed to. I think you have a good core foundation. They still need another scorer, though, a consistent scorer, because Tobias Harris, where the fuck were you at yesterday? You're a scoring assassin, apparently, according to you, your dad. Your dad says you're a Hall of Famer. Really? Like, you did the ultimate Ben Simmons impersonation yesterday. You played Ben Simmons better than Ben Simmons played Ben Simmons. At least with Ben Simmons, he was giving you some assists and some rebounds. You gave absolutely nothing. You just took up space on the floor. And like, I am so glad that your career here is over, because you've brought nothing to the table at all in your time here since they traded for you back in 2019. So good riddance. Like, seriously, like you played Ben Simmons better than Ben did. You are worthless. I don't even think you're any good on NBA 2K. Like, you're just terrible. Absolutely terrible. Good riddance, Tobias. I don't know who they're going to bring back. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm nervous that it's up to Daryl Morey. I'm not even going to lie. But he's able to build some good teams. So maybe if he gets the right players in there with the right mindset, the right mentality, it might help with having Nick Nurse as coach. I don't know. I'm hesitant to give out ridiculous contracts to the old heads, though. So it should be an interesting offseason. This is the most important offseason since Joel Embiid has been here. And I'm anxious to see. But kudos to the Knicks. Like, not taking away from anything away from them. I really, really hope that this is a start of a rivalry because it's fun. New York, Philly. I told you the Giants are my favorite rival in the NFL. I really feel New York and Philly. You have to love that rivalry. I love it with the Phillies and the Mets. Love it with the Eagles and the Giants. Would love to have it with the Sixers and Knicks. Even Rangers, Flyers for that matter. But overall, like I said, tough way. Very pissed off, very disappointed. Here we are yet again doing this. But again, this one feels different just because it wasn't. In the past, you could very easily put the blame on Joel Embiid. He did not show up big in the big game. Joe showed up yesterday. Joe showed a lot of heart this entire series, and they did not lose this series in any regard, in any aspect, due to Joel Embiid. So hopefully you can get the haters and the naysayers and all the other pundits or whoever, basically the Joel haters, can shut up now, because honestly they did not lose this series because of Joe, and Joe really showed me something this series, but specifically last night, that he has not shown me ever in his career. And that is a man who tried it, and had he been 100% healthy, maybe he was able to will them to a victory yesterday. I don't know. But no excuses. But he showed me something, showed me a little bit of heart, and it is the guys around him. The team around him was just not good enough. And that falls on the general manager, that falls on Daryl Morey, that falls on Elton Brand. So if they're going to be successful and able to move forward, I need you guys to show that same heart. I need you guys to step up. I need you guys to do the right decision. I need Daryl Morey not to go back to his guys that he had when he was in Houston, who are now older, and just start throwing money at them. I need you to sit down and really be self-reflective, and I need you to do what's best for this team. Look at the big picture. You have a shitload of cap space. Do not waste it on old guys that used to play for you in Houston because you like their names. Let's get the guys and build a team around Tyrese and Joe. Guys that are going to complement them. Guys that are able to come off the bench and when Joe's not in, not get blown out. Not have like a minus 20 or the minus 30, whatever the average was. You need guys like that. You need guys who are not going to hide when the spotlight is big, Toby. Like, you need guys. And say what you want. I was impressed with Buddy Hield. I would not be opposed. I liked when they traded for him. I would not be opposed if they can somehow bring him back. I think that's the type of shooting you need, like a JJ Redick type, like that. You need something like that. But I need like a guy who can slash. I need a guy who can shoot. So sort of the hybrid wing almost. Everything that we need, basically what we need, is everything we were told Tobias Harris is. And yeah, I told you it's going to be inconsistent. I feel like I'm ranting now, but that's what we need. So it's going to be an important offseason. I'll have something more coherent and eloquent, I guess, tomorrow. But this is just, like I said, I have no notes for any of this, just 100% off the cuff. And like I said, I hope that this puts to bed the Joel Embiid is not a clutch player. Joel Embiid doesn't step up, because they didn't lose that game because of Joel Embiid yesterday. They lost it because of guys like Tobias and Harris, who just, I don't know what he was doing, other than creating work for the Cowboys to wipe up sweat. Although he shouldn't even been sweating, because it's not even like he played defense or anything. I don't know. But tough loss, tough way to end the season. And like I said, hopefully this is the start of something big. And Daryl Morey, Elton Brand, it's your move. Don't fuck this up. All right. As always, thanks for participating in the question of the day. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Some quick feedback from yesterday. I completely forgot about this as we were talking about Ruben Amaro Jr. going through and spending money and doing all that, and then ultimately depleting the farm system. I forgot the greatest nickname for him was Ruin Tomorrow Jr. But all in good fun, Rube. We love you. Thanks for going for it. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Hit me up on social media, Twitter and TikTok, Jimbo_Mont. Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Let's get this thing going. Tell your friends, spread the word, and all that other good stuff. But subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're interested in information about the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, induction, and tickets to the ceremony, all that is in the description. If you have a business and are interested in being a sponsor or have something for an auction, hit me up. It does not have to be sports related, but all of that's in the description. So yesterday, sticking with the Sixers theme, I'm on a text thread with my uncle, my cousins, and my brother, and we're going back and forth about Wilt and who is the GOAT, who's not the GOAT. Obviously, my uncle's in the Wilt Chamberlain faction, and I've told you, I think Wilt sort of set the tone. And it was hard because I was at testing, then I was at the gym trying to text. But kind of my thoughts on this, and I feel Wilt is in a different category. I feel MJ is the GOAT, but I feel Wilt is in a different category. And I kind of put him in a category with a Johnny Unitas, Jim Brown, guys like that, guys that Babe Ruth even, Ty Cobb, guys that are sort of legends and pioneers almost, guys that set the records that everybody else now is aiming to break. I don't think anybody's going to call Ty Cobb the greatest baseball player ever based on the athletes and everything we have. However, Ty Cobb set the pace for these guys to beat. And I think Wilt's the same way. I think it's tough, and you can make the argument either way, but I think it's tough with Wilt because he was just so big and dominant, and they changed the rules because of him. But I think he sort of is here, and then you have your GOAT list. So it's Wilt, then everybody else. And I think it's kind of like a Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb. Like Babe Ruth, home run hitter, and then you have the other guys underneath of him. Just because, like I said, they're more in a pioneer camp. But let me know what you think about that. Maybe I'm just going on a rant and still sleep deprived from the Sixers. But that does lead us to today's question of the day. What do you think the Sixers' most important offseason move should be this year? I think it's obviously they got to sign Maxey, but they just need another guy who can shoot and as well as drive. Just another guy that can score, and then you need another big guy. I love B-Ball Paul, but you need somebody who in playoff time is going to be able to come in and hold his own like a veteran center. So what is the Sixers' biggest offseason need? 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Obviously, we will talk way more about the Sixers offseason and their needs as things come up. But what do you think their biggest need is? Because they have basically a lot of cap space and only 2 players under contract. So who should be a priority? What type of player? What position? Let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Speaking of Wilt, greatest shirt I've ever seen is at Philly GOAT. And if you've seen or know anything about Philly sports, the Wilt Chamberlain iconic picture of him holding the 100 sign after his 100-point game taken by Harvey Pollack. Philly GOAT did a play on that with the Wilt holding the sign with 20K. You got to love it. Of all of Wilt Chamberlain's records and stats, 20,000 is the greatest. And if you know, you know. And if you don't know, look it up because we're going to try to keep this PG-13. I cursed a little bit too much today. We'll keep it PG-13, but look it up. Philly GOAT's got you covered. Go check it out. They have the Philly Connect gear. Phillies will be wearing those shirts or those jerseys tonight. Nobody likes them, but if you go to Philly Goat, they got a t-shirt that you'll love. So go to phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order, all one word. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. Speaking of those Phils in the City Connect jerseys, they're in action tonight down at Citizens Bank Park against the Giants. Alec Boehm looks to extend his 15-game hitting streak and move up the rankings in the batting title race. He's currently second behind Mookie Betts. Aaron Nola's on the mound looking to keep his season rolling. Looking forward to Phils, and pretty much now that's all we got. Phillies and a bunch of offseason moves. But that's all right, because we have some Flyers movement, and Flyers news is they're preparing for their draft. Matvei Mishkov, there is a possibility, rumors circulating, that he could come over to the Flyers for next season. The chairman of his Russian club basically said all options are on the table, and he would like a decision to be made likely by the end of June. He did mention he has a good relationship with the Flyers front office, so who knows? Maybe the Flyers will be able to build on last season with their stud. And ultimately, when they drafted him last year, he almost is up there with Connor Bedard as far as talent. He just fell down in a lot of draft boards because it was of the uncertainty of whether he's going to come over from Russia. So if they can get him over next year, ooh, baby. But Mishkov could be coming over for the Flyers next year, so we'll keep an eye on that. Eagles news, rookie camp is this week. Probably not going to hear too much about it except for random reports here or there, but it means we're one step closer to football. Some numbers were announced yesterday. Saquon Barkley will still got Sixers on my brain. But Saquon Barkley will wear number 26. Huff will wear number 0. Kenny Pickett will wear number 7. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson will wear number 8. And just a little side note, if you've seen this, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, look for the Howie Roseman All Access video. It basically shows behind the scenes of when they were looking to draft Cooper DeJean, and just the movement and the pressure and just how he's on the phone doing this, and it kind of talks about it. It's just stuff like that. That's the kind of reality shows I like to see. It's like the behind the scenes stuff. So go check that out. It really opens your eyes, and it's pretty cool to see how the Eagles draft room works. So go check that out. All right. As I usually like to do, sometimes on purpose, sometimes just purely coincidental. This one is purely coincidental, but after a tough loss and the season ends for our teams, a lot of times I like to wallow in our sorrow and just feel sorry for ourselves. And today is going to be one of those days. And there's a two-parter to this day, and it's basically the Boston Massacre. We're going to go back to May 3rd, 1981, and then to May 3rd, 2002. But the Sixers season ended on this day. Both of those years. First in 1981, it was Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Final. Sixers had a 3-1 lead in that series, blew double-digit leads in Game 5 and 6, had an 11-point lead in Game 7, and then Larry Bird got hot and hit a shot in the final minute. Sixers blew the 3-1 lead. 91-90, they lost up in Boston. It was the second time in team history they've blown a 3-1 lead. They also blew one to the Celtics in 1968 in the Eastern Division Finals. They almost blew a third one the following year to Boston. That was the beat LA year, but yeah, to lose, that would have been devastating for that team to lose back-to-back 3-1 leads. But on this day in 1981, Sixers lost 91-90 to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals after having double-digit leads in Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7, blowing the 3-1 lead and just really making Sixers fans everywhere miserable. So if you think you're miserable now, put yourself back in your dad's shoes and see how you would have felt in 1981, or your grandfather, depending on how old you are. And then on this day in 2002, they lost Game 5 to the Celtics, 120-87, ending their season. The defending champs lost the first two games in Boston, came back home to the Wells Fargo Center, won the next two before getting eliminated in blowout fashion up in Boston. They broke up the team that offseason and throughout that year and just never regained the magic they had in 2001. So on this day in 1981 and 2002, the Sixers seasons ended at the hands of the Boston Celtics. 1981 in the Eastern Conference Final, 2002 in the first round. All right, finally today, it's time for our May segment. It's a family affair. Told you I was going to sing, and hopefully that brightened your mood up a little bit today. But today we're going to have another case of the time that Philadelphia had the wrong brother. Today it's Rich Surhoff, pitcher. He was drafted by the Phillies in the 20th round in 1982. Pitched a total of 2 games, 1 total inning for the Phillies, 1 inning pitch. Got a win and gave up 2 hits before he was traded away. More on that in a minute. But he's probably better known as the older brother of B.J. Surhoff, utility man, catcher, outfielder, infielder for multiple teams, and he hit 282 over the course of 18 years. One thing that I always remember about B.J. Surhoff is he was one of the stars, I guess, when I really started collecting baseball cards. So I remember his top future stars card with the big oversized catching glove, and then his Donruss rated rookie. I don't know why things like that stick out, but B.J. Surhoff was the guy that stuck out. As I mentioned, he had a 282 career average. He had 1 All-Star appearance. He's in the Brewers Wall of Fame. He's in the Orioles Hall of Fame. He was a silver medalist in the 1984 Olympics. But the family affair with the Surhoffs doesn't stop there. His son Austin is an NCAA champion swimmer. And then their other brother has sons who both played in the big leagues, Brian and Colin Moran. And then to top it all off, their dad, Dick Surhoff, played 2 years in the NBA. So pretty talented family, top to bottom, 3 generations of professional players, whether it be in the NBA or in Major League Baseball. Have some NCAA champion swimmer DNA in there as well. All right, I mentioned that trade. Here's what's going to make this even worse for the Phillies having the wrong brother. Rich Surhoff, after pitching in those 2 games for the Phillies, was traded to the Texas Rangers straight up for a guy named Dave Stewart. Yes, that Dave Stewart actually played for the Phillies, and he was promptly cut in 1986. And as we always like to say on this podcast, the rest was history. We all know what happened to Dave Stewart, but he was actually traded to the Phillies for Rich Surhoff, the wrong Surhoff brother, and then cut by the Phillies. And we all know what Dave Stewart went on to do. But that, my friends, is another segment for another month. Stay tuned. That's what we like to call in the business a little bit of a teaser there. Foreshadowing. Or if you watch WWE, that's long-term storytelling there. But today's It's a Family Affair is Rich Surhoff, pitcher for the Phillies for 2 games. The big brother of B.J. Surhoff, who played 18 years in the majors, 1 All-Star game appearance, but just was a solid utility player for multiple teams in the Brewers Wall of Fame and the Orioles Hall of Fame. Again, we had the wrong brother, but it's a family. I wish I had a sounder. It's a family affair. If you want to hear the real song, Sly and the Family Stone. I'm not doing it justice. But on this day in 1981 and 2002, the Sixers season ended at the hands of the Boston Celtics. In 1981, it was the Eastern Conference Final. 2002, it was the first round. Be sure to go check out that video of Howie Roseman, though. It is a pretty cool, just behind-the-scenes look at what the draft is like for these teams. Be sure to hit up the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. What is the Sixers' biggest need now heading into the offseason? Is it what player or what position, what needs? Let me know what you think. It could be as simple as extending Maxey, but let me know. 267-495-8531. Get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let's go Phillies tonight. Let's keep this train rolling because right now, this is all we got. It's going to be a little cloudy, a little cooler today, but hopefully you get out and get some fresh air. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery, a disappointed Jim Montgomery, but keep your heads up because this was not on Joe, and Joe showed me something. Did he show you something? Let me know that as well. But until next time, this is Jim Montgomery saying, I'll see you when I see you.